It is such a pity. Her only offense was to become an orphan at such a tender age. Pa Alade was the only brother of Titi's father. While they shared the same blood, their destinies had not always been equal. Titi's father was a man of vision, wealthy and influential, with businesses that spread across towns. Pa Alade, on the other hand, had struggled. He had barely made it through school, and when he finished, his little ventures collapsed one after another like broken chairs. But Titi's father had never turned his back on him. He paid Pa Alade's school fees, gave him money for his business, and always called him my brother, no matter how much others mocked him. Then tragedy struck. One rainy evening, news spread like wildfire. Titi's parents had been killed in a ghastly motor accident. Their car had collided with a lorry on the highway. The town mourned deeply, for they had not only lost two prominent figures, but an innocent little girl, Titi, had lost the warmth of father and mother in one cruel day. Titi was too young to inherit her parents' wealth. By custom and law, the family decided that Pa Alade would take over the properties, both to manage them and to raise Titi. At the funeral, dressed in flowing agbada, Pa Alade placed his hand on Titi's trembling shoulder and spoke with a voice that rang across the crowd. "From today, I will be your father and your mother. I will do what your parents could not do for you. You will never lack. You will know heaven on earth." The mourners wiped their eyes and nodded. Everyone blessed Pa Alade for such noble words. But words are like smoke, they rise quickly, then vanish. Instead of using Titi's wealth to raise her into a successful young woman, Pa Alade turned the riches inward. He built mansions, bought cars, and lavished the money on his wife, Ronke, and their children. And little Titi, the true heir, was reduced to a servant in her own father's wealth. From the very first day in her uncle's home, Titi knew she was unwanted. Madame Ronke's eyes were knives, her words thorns. "You are not here to enjoy," she hissed. "You will work for your daily bread." So Titi's childhood ended. Her cousins wore fine clothes, while she wore patched uniforms. They ate eggs and milk, while she licked salt with dry garri. They were driven to school in cars, while she trekked for miles under the sun, her shoes eating into her feet. When she arrived late to school, teachers scolded her, classmates laughed. Nobody knew she had first washed plates, scrubbed floors, and fetched water before being allowed to leave home. Her uncle looked away, her aunt sneered, her cousins mocked, and still, Titi endured. She always remembered her mother's words. "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." Every morning was the same. A bucket of water would yank Titi from sleep. Then Mama Ronke's voice would follow. "Stupid girl, you are still sleeping. Wake up, sweep the compound, wash the clothes, scrub that pot until it shines, prepare breakfast, scrub the bathroom." The chores are endless. By the time her chores were done, her cousins had long eaten their breakfast and were laughing inside the air-conditioned car that carried them to school. Titi would then trek, dust clinging to her socks, sweat soaking her back. At school, her teachers' voices stung. "Titi, why are you always late? Titi, why are you always dirty? Titi, why are you so dull?" But Titi remained silent. She carried her pain like a secret stone in her chest. Her father of blessed memory always said to her, "Tough times don't last, tough people do." She held on strongly to her father's and mother's words. One afternoon, after another scolding, the headmaster called her aside. His voice was gentler than usual. "Titi," he asked, "tell me the truth. Why are you always late?" Her lips trembled. At first, silence. But then, tears rolled down her cheeks, and her story poured out like water breaking a dam. The headmaster's eyes softened. That day, for the first time, someone believed her. The headmaster introduced Titi to Mrs. Williams, a new teacher with a heart as warm as sunshine. Mrs. Williams bought her books, sometimes shared food with her, and encouraged her to study. "You are not dull, Titi," she said. "You are brilliant. They just want to break you, but don't let them." With every kind word, Titi bloomed. Madam Ronke soon noticed the change. Titi's grades improved. Her teachers praised her, and she smiled more. "You think you are better than my children?" Ronke spat. "We shall see." The punishments grew harsher. Beatings came more often. But Titi's fire had been lit. She refused to bend. One evening, a family friend visited. Over dinner, he looked at Titi and smiled. "This girl is so intelligent. One day, she will make this family proud." The room froze. Her cousins sneered. Ronke forced a smile, but later dragged Titi to the backyard and beat her savagely. "You will never shine more than my children," she hissed. That night, Titi wept into her pillow. Yet beneath her tears, determination hardened. Tough people last longer than tough times. She encouraged herself. News spread of a prestigious scholarship for one outstanding student. It will cover everything, taking the winner to the city. Mrs. Williams urged Titi to apply. "Work hard. This is your chance." By kerosene lamp. After endless chores, Titi studied late into the night. On the day of the exam, Madam Ronke plied her with chores. "You will not go anywhere today," she snapped. But Titi's courage surprised even herself. She rushed through what she could and ran to school, dust rising behind her feet. In the exam hall, her hands shook, but her mind burned bright. She poured her heart onto the paper. Weeks later, the entire school gathered to hear the results. Titi stood at the back, her heart heavy. The headmaster cleared his throat. "The winner of the city scholarship is Titi Alade." The hall erupted. Teachers clapped. Students cheered. For the first time since her parents' death, the world smiled at her. And Titi smiled back, a smile that carried both pain and promise. When Titi left, she carried nothing but a box of old clothes, a scholarship letter, and the blessings of those who truly cared for her. Behind her, Pa Alade's mansion still shone with glass windows and polished cars. But a house without discipline is like a calabash floating on water, beautiful outside, empty within. Without Titi, everything crumbled. Her cousins, pampered and lazy, could not cook, clean, or fend for themselves. Shockingly, the wealth Pa Alade had stolen went up in flames when his warehouse burned. From riches, they fell into rags. Her cousins, pampered and lazy, had grown up thinking life was a buffet where servants would always serve him. When money dried up, Folarin was forced into the real world. But the real world had no patience for laziness. He could not keep a job. He would not bend his back to labor. Hunger gnawed at him until his pride broke. So he turned to stealing. At first it was small things, a neighbor's chicken, a missing phone, a stolen bag of rice. But greed is like fire. It never stops at the first spark. Soon, Folarin joined a gang of robbers. One night, While raiding a shop, they were ambushed. Police sirens wailed. Bullets cracked in the air. His friends scattered, but Folarin was caught. In court, the judge looked at him with disgust. "You had every privilege," the judge said, "yet you chose crime. You will rot in prison." And so he did. His once proud head was shaved bald. He slept on cold concrete floors. His meals were nothing but watery beans. The pampered son of Paalade became a broken man, his name forever tied to shame. Sade, Paalade's daughter, was known in town for her beauty. As a teenager, she had grown up mocking Titi's torn uniform while flaunting her own gold earrings. But beauty without discipline is a curse. When the money vanished, Sade discovered she had no skills, no craft, no resilience. To feed herself, she turned to the only thing she thought she had left, her body. At night, she walked the streets, painted lips and heavy perfume, looking for men who would buy her a plate of food in exchange for her dignity. Married men whispered her name, young men mocked her behind her back, and the community began to treat her as an outcast. Soon, sickness came. At first, it was fever, then rashes, then the terrible weakness that no medicine could cure. The doctors confirmed it HIV/AIDS. Her beauty melted into frail bones, her laughter into endless coughing. She wasted away slowly, her eyes hollow, her once glossy hair falling in clumps. When she finally died, the town shook their heads and sighed. She had everything but chose the wrong path. Even the man who once stood tall at Titi's parents' funeral, boasting of heaven on earth, did not escape judgment. After the fire burned down his business, creditors hounded him. Debts piled up. Friends deserted him. He, who once dined at the high table, now borrowed salt and oil from neighbors. The shame was too much. One morning, while shouting at Ronki over an empty pot of soup, Paalade collapsed. A stroke gripped him, bending his mouth, stiffening his arm, and crippling his legs. From then on, he could no longer walk. He lay on a mat day after day, staring at the ceiling, drooling, waiting for food that sometimes never came. Once a proud man, now reduced to being carried like a child, and his wife became a prisoner of her own misery. She watched her son rot in prison. She watched her daughter waste away and die. She watched her husband lie helpless, unable to lift a spoon. She begged from neighbors who once envied her wealth. At night, she wept quietly, but in the morning, she still carried her pride like a torn wrapper everyone could see through it. Her name, once spoken with envy, became a proverb in the marketplace. Do not be like Madame Ronke. Wickedness never ends well. The people of the town shook their heads whenever they spoke of the family. Evil does not go unpunished, they said. You do not maltreat an orphan and expect to prosper. Meanwhile, far away in the city, Titi walked with her head held high. Her scholarship opened doors, her hard work bore fruit. She carried her parents' dreams within her and rose like the morning Sunday. She never mocked their downfall. Instead, she carried a lesson in her heart. The tears of an orphan are seeds. When they fall to the earth, they always grow into a harvest for good or for evil. Who's to be blamed here? What did you learn from this story? Please put your thoughts down in the comments. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much as you do so. See you in my next one. Bye.